A candle flickers on a cake in a dark room. 30 voices sing off key, everyone is smiling at you. And a pile of gifts. And you are supposed to stand there and perform gratitude for a ritual you never asked for. And when you quietly opt out of the whole performance, they look at you like something is medically wrong. It is not. And the psychology behind why you skip it reveals more about them than it does about you. If you are someone who lets your birthday pass without announcement, if you have ever changed the subject when someone asked what you are doing for it, if the honest answer has always been nothing and you have never quite known how to explain why that is not sad, welcome. You are about to understand something about yourself that most people will never grasp. And no, there is nothing wrong with you. The psychology actually suggests the opposite. The world has a very specific story about people who skip their birthdays. They must be depressed. They must be lonely. Something must have gone wrong. The assumption is that wanting a celebration is the human default and that anyone who opts out is broken. But here is what is actually happening. Psychologists Ryan and Deci spent decades studying what they call self-determination theory. Basically, they found that the most psychologically grounded people are those whose sense of worth comes from within, not from external rituals, not from social performance, and not from a room full of people singing a song nobody actually enjoys. There is a concept called the hedonic treadmill, first described by researcher Philip Brickman. It is the cycle where you chase the next milestone, the next celebration, the next external hit of validation, and it never quite delivers what you hoped. People who skip their birthdays have often stepped off that treadmill entirely. They are not missing something. They stopped outsourcing their joy. And there is one specific reason your brain learned to do this. And for most people, it traces back to a single moment they have almost forgotten. We will get there. But first, here is the part that will challenge something even birthday skippers believe about themselves. It is something most people do not know. Your dopamine system does not just respond to rewards, it responds to the gap between what you expected and what you got. Neuroscientists Schultz, Dayan, and Montague demonstrated that when a predicted reward fails to arrive, dopamine levels drop below baseline, not to neutral, below it. Your brain does not just feel nothing, it feels a negative signal. Now apply that to birthdays. You are 7 years old. You expect the party. You expect your friends to show up. You expect to feel special. And when the reality falls short, not once, not twice, but repeatedly, your brain recalibrates. It stops predicting the reward. It stops releasing the dopamine, and eventually you stop wanting the celebration. Not because you do not care, because your nervous system decided that expecting good things from this particular day costs more than it returns. But here is where it gets uncomfortable for you specifically. You probably believe your indifference is a choice, a mature, rational decision to skip the fuss, and maybe it is. But the research on what Martin Seligman called learned helplessness suggests something harder. When someone experiences repeated disappointment without control over the outcome, their brain stops trying. Not out of wisdom, out of efficiency. The question worth sitting with is whether your calm indifference is genuine peace or a very convincing scar. But wait, that is only one type of birthday skipper, and the next one looks completely different. Let us be honest about something that rarely gets mentioned. Some people do not skip their birthdays out of pain or philosophy. They skip them because they genuinely forgot. Psychologists call this time blindness. When your brain is running on overload, projects, deadlines, responsibilities stacked floor to ceiling, dates blur, weeks blur. Your calendar stops being a schedule and becomes background noise. These people are not avoiding their birthday. Their brain simply filed it under not urgent, right next to the dentist appointment they have rescheduled 3 times. It is not that they do not value themselves. It is that they value so many things simultaneously that one day just slips through the cracks. And this is where it gets really interesting, because there is a third type that nobody talks about. Remember the moment I said most birthday skippers have almost forgotten? Here it is. Picture this. You are 8 years old. It is your birthday. You have been counting down for weeks. You told everyone at school. You imagined the balloons, the cake, the moment when everyone gathers just for you. And then the day comes and it is quiet. Maybe the people you hoped would show up did not. Maybe someone forgot. Maybe the whole thing felt smaller than the version you built in your head. And you did not cry about it. Not where anyone could see. You just quietly adjusted your expectations. The next year, you expected a little less. And the year after that, even less. Researchers at Johns Hopkins found that the brain does not just remember painful dates, it relives the emotion every single year. They call it the anniversary effect. Your calendar moves on, your brain does not. That 8-year-old is still in there. And every birthday since has been a quiet negotiation with that memory. And there is one more layer that separates the people who are truly free from the ones who only look free. And the next part explains why some people who claim they do not need birthdays are actually the ones who need them most. Psychologist Jennifer Crocker studied something called contingencies of self-worth. She found that some people disconnect from celebrations not because they have outgrown the need, but because they are afraid. Afraid that if they let themselves want it and it does not go perfectly, it will confirm something they already suspect about themselves. So they opt out. Not from confidence, from protection. And that distinction changes everything. Now, it would be comfortable to end with the empowering version, to tell you that skipping your birthday means you are evolved and leave it there. But there is a harder truth. For some people, the refusal to celebrate is not sovereignty, it is a wall. If you never ask for anything, nobody can disappoint you. If you never make yourself the center of attention, nobody can confirm that you are not worth the attention. The birthday becomes a test you refuse to take because you are not sure you would pass. So it is worth asking yourself with honesty. Do you skip your birthday because you genuinely do not need it, or because wanting it and not getting it would hurt more than pretending you never cared? Because one is freedom. The other is fear, wearing a very convincing disguise. Here is what I need you to hear. You are not cold. You are not broken. You are not difficult because you do not want a party. Whether you stopped celebrating because your brain learned that hoping was expensive, because your life moves too fast to keep track, or because you genuinely found a way to feel whole without the ritual, every version of you makes sense. Every version has a logic, and none of them are flaws. You are not broken for skipping your birthday. You are not lonely for spending it alone. You just stopped needing a calendar to remind you that you matter. Here is a framework worth keeping. The birthday test. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1. If someone threw me the perfect celebration tomorrow, would I feel joy or discomfort? 2. Do I skip my birthday because I chose to, or because wanting feels too risky? 3. When was the last time I let myself be celebrated for anything? If the first answer is joy, you are at peace. If the second answer is risk, there is something worth looking at. And if you cannot remember the third, this video was never really about birthdays. The ones who skip their birthdays are not the ones who forgot how to celebrate. They are the ones who learned that being alive does not need an audience.